Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
that's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
This episode is brought to you by Opill, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opill is FDA approved, full prescription strength and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opill. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opill at Opill.com.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Don't Blame Me, starring Meghan and Melisa, who we are quite coordinating. We're very like warm tone, goldy bronze today.
But I am in fall and you are in summer.
But they're both warm tones.
They are.
Goldy bronze.
They are. But this is a midriff, so it's not fully summer.
Yeah.
I mean, fully fall.
It's a perfect LA one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch the video version over on Patreon. You can also just support the show on Patreon if you would like. This is a podcast where we give you wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice. We love to do it. We love to give you good advice. We love to give you bad advice on purpose. We don't love to give you bad advice on accident. And I will defer the blame to that, is maybe you just didn't give us the right information and then we gave you bad advice. But I don't think we've given unintentional bad advice in a while.
No. Anything that's been like, when it was like intentionally being bad, we let people know. Unintentional, don't blame us.
Don't blame us. And that is the catch-all and what protects us legally. So
probably not.
I know, honestly, probably not. Well, support the show, everyone, so Melissa and I can live out our dreams.
Yes, still support the show so we can live our dreams.
We're really great. We're really fun. We have so many ideas, and we need emotional and financial support.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Speaking of financial support, someone left a comment on our Apple podcast. Keep the ads. Give us more ads. You don't need to explain yourself. Load up the episodes and get that coin. We know how to skip 15 seconds. Haha.
Thank you. Please don't skip the ads. And thank you.
Yeah, don't skip, please.
But thank you. There seems to be like, it's a cilantro kind of quality, because like the way that like, I so don't care when people have ads in things. You know what I mean? Like, I so don't care. And like when they're properly disclosed, you know, it's not like 90% of it. But I'm like, yeah, it doesn't. I could suggest you some shows that are 85% ads that the people clearly don't actually vet, care about, or use. And then the content that's not the ad is also bad.
Right.
So this is a podcast where we give you wonderful advice. And to get said wonderful advice, you can call us, you can email us, or you can DM us. So for all of the above. You have to be 18 or over or have your parents' permission. It is all anonymous. So we do ask that you include fake names, but we do ask that you include your real age and other people who are involved, their real ages, to obviously verify that you're over 18. But also it changes the advice we give, about something that when you're in your early 20s or when you're late 20s or your 30s or you're 19 or whatever that is. And if you're dating a 75-year-old, let us know. Is he in good health? Is he close to death? Because that also changes the advice.
Speaking of, there was a woman recently who married a billion. She was in her 40s, married a billionaire that I believe is in his 90s.
Good for her.
2 months later, bye-bye.
As it should. And this is the thing. People are like, Megan, you hate age gap relationships. Yes.
I love that.
I
love that.
If it is not a mutually beneficial relationship, and you know what's mutually beneficial? Someone with lots of mutual funds.
Yes.
Someone who's close to death.
And I said, Lord, do what you did for that lady. Do it for me.
Lord, I've seen what you have done for others. Willing and able.
Amen.
I endorse that message. So we give lots of varying degrees of advice, and we need that information so we can give you the best advice. But we also ask that we require that you keep it under 3 minutes for the recorded version. That can be a voicemail that you leave at 310-694-0976 or an audio message that you send to meganpodcast@gmail.com. Those have to be under 3 minutes. So we ask that you write everything down, practice a few times, time it out, and then read it aloud. And then for the written versions in our DMs on Instagram, which we will have our handle linked by Meghan and Melisa.
It's just Meghan and Melisa. No, bye.
You guys have changed. I've changed the name so many times.
It's been years, though.
I know. I told you my brain is a little slow right now. And for those written ones, email and DM, we ask that you keep it under 300 words. All relevant info, you can let us know if you are sensitive, but we can only give you advice based on the info you give us. So make sure it's the jam-packed stuff. I think that's it, right?
That's it. Let's get into an update.
Woo!
All right. So this is from the episode Obsessive X Has My Nudes, which was from June 12th, 2023. And the call itself was, or write-in, I don't remember what it was boundaries when going to a strip club. The person that submitted, their boyfriend was going to a strip club, or husband, I don't remember which one. Their partner was going to a strip club with, I believe it was co-workers, boss, brother. Like, it was a big group of people that were going, and the person that submitted wanted to, and it was coke involved in the story too, I believe, as well. Yeah. She said that they did coke. And so they wanted to set boundaries for their partner going to the strip club.
Okay. Woo! This is a long one. Hey, Meghan and Melisa and friends. Technically, hi, Meghan and Melisa and friends. First of all, I want to
my name. Both of our names are wrong.
And that's okay. Here's the thing. If you're going to spell our name, spell both of them wrong.
Yeah.
Don't spell one of ours wrong and not the other. Because, we see that both of us have irregularly spelled common names.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go, yeah, you were intentional with some of it, but not the rest. So, go big or go home. First of all, I want to say I'm so genuinely flattered that my boring life made it on this podcast. Was not boring, babe. Mm-mm. The other thing I want to mention is that I finally have an update. So originally I was thinking of calling, but the story got a lot worse before it got better. And so to protect myself and everyone involved, I prefer to have my voice kept anonymous. Absolutely massive trigger warning for topic of addiction. Please, please, please do not listen if you can be triggered by this topic. So if you know anything about construction, you may have heard about substance abuse in the field. That ended up being the case with my partner's boss. I'm not sharing this because substance abuse makes someone a bad person. I'm sharing this so you can get the full picture. This man was not like it before, and his addiction changed him. It also brought out his true colors. As the piece of shit, lying asshole creep I knew he was the whole time. So why did he want to bring my boyfriend to a strip club, you may ask? Well, he actually hates my guts and made it very clear to everyone, including my boyfriend's dad. He also thinks that women in general should essentially not have any rights. Yeah, so fuck him. He would tell everyone at the job that me and my boyfriend don't get along, that I control him, I was a bitch, etc. This is because I always called him out on his bullshit, and I knew this vacation was just another way for him to get to me. List of bullshit includes telling me that because I'm a woman, I don't know what hard work is, only being respectful towards me and his partner when my boyfriend was in the room, telling me that when I had someone die in the family that it wasn't a big deal and I was being too sensitive. I always blamed his words on the fact that he was under the influence. I would also like to let you know that this man constantly tried to peer pressure my boyfriend into his addiction with him. Now that we're on the other side of this with a clear picture of who he is, my boyfriend feels awful for letting this man into our lives the way he was. Well, I am happy, I guess, to report that my boyfriend did not go to the club in Vegas and simply said that he doesn't think he would ever be able to go to a strip club, even with me there, because our boundaries align and he feels it's deeply disrespectful to our relationship. I have absolutely no judgment for any individual that likes going to the strip club or accepts that within a relationship, but it's simply not for us, and that's okay. I'm also happy to report that while I cannot tell you guys what happened because it's not my place, my partner did leave him his partner did leave him and she is safe and better. And for the better. Me and hubby are still very much together and going on 3 years of dating. And we are planning to get engaged within the next year. Congratulations. We're also buying a house together. He's truly my best friend in the whole world. As for his boss, well, his ass got canned after he was caught under the influence on the job. When I found this out, I could have throttled him because the crew they work on deals with a lot of dangerous stuff, like life-threatening on the daily. This includes driving, operating heavy machinery, as well as dealing with livestock. The certain type of livestock that they deal with has no problem eating an actual person. Freaky, I know. Pigs. That's pigs, by the way.
Yeah.
Things went quiet from him for a couple months and ended up knocking on our door one day after trying to break into our garage. And I absolutely ripped into him with my words. Oh. He actually got scared and ran away. I've never seen a man run from a 5-foot girl so fucking fast in my entire life. My boyfriend said it was absolutely glorious. I want to thank you guys for listening to my story. I'm sorry I cannot share more. If you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction, please seek help. I've seen it destroy many lives in my family and many people's lives around me. You can always get help and there is a way out. Wow. What a fucking update.
Ooh, thank you for sharing. I'm sure that was difficult to share, but I'm glad that your boyfriend is out of that situation. Also, this creep's ex-girlfriend is done with him as well and safe.
Yeah. And this is such a, I don't know, I feel like I'm constantly reminded on the daily about how important it is for women specifically for us to trust our gut and trust our instincts. And even if the men in our lives who are closer to the people and we're more tangentially on the side, they're like, no, you've got a misreading of the situation or, whatever. We're not wrong about that. There's that book called The Gift of Fear, where it's literally in our DNA pre-programmed that we have these different sort of instincts about people. Yes, it's satisfying when those things end up being true, but you also don't want that to be true or whatever. So I totally understand the complicated feelings of feeling vindicated and validated that you were not crazy and that this was a bad situation. He was a bad guy, but at the same time, you obviously don't want that for him or for other people involved. But the pressuring to do drugs is a very, very common thing. And if anybody is in that circumstance or situation, it is not safer to do drugs with said person. And a lot of people have a idea that makes them a safe person if they are not viewed as an enemy because they're you can, without getting into doing and participating in that yourself. And everybody should always have Narcan on them, learn how to administer it. And you cannot overdose from fentanyl by administering Narcan. And if police officers tell you that if you touch it on a handle of a car door that you will die, that is not true. And it's fear mongering. Have you not seen any of this stuff? It makes me so, as someone who has extensive family history with this specifically and has lost family members to fentanyl, I'm very passionate about the correct information about it. And there's so much fear mongering that people don't administer Narcan to people who are actively dealing with it's not even really an overdose because it's poisoning at that point because fentanyl, it's such minuscule amounts that police officers weren't doing that because they were convinced that they could get contact high by touching someone who had it. And it's very much giving reminiscent of the AIDS crisis of you're just watching people die and not intervening because you've convinced yourself that they are so just scum of the earth, that suddenly this is they're treating it with more careful consideration than COVID, which was an airborne ill. It just drives me crazy. And so there's a lot of misinformation about that. And I think it sounds logical because it's less than a grain of rice can kill you from fentanyl. And so it feels well, that's an obvious thing. It's the mechanism. And there's also a lot of there's no use to even test it because it's in everything. And then I'm that's not true. It's not in everything. It's in so many drugs. But if you put it in weed, as far as I know, and this is like the last time I checked about this was a couple months ago, but like there had yet to be a fentanyl made that doesn't burn off when you are smoking it via like a blunt or something like that. So like it's not, people aren't giving that in weed and all this stuff. And so people were just like, well, there's no point in testing if it's in everything. And it's like, well, no, you should test everything, but also there's still a risk there. But yeah, I just get irate when I see that. And so I hope everyone knows that even if you have like a police officer uncle who told you that you can die by touching someone who's dealing with that. And yeah, a lot of the time it's like coke is a huge one where it keeps happening, and press pills as well. But yeah, if you know someone who's struggling with that, please carry Narcan on you and administer it as needed by following the directions. That's the update. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, we're back.
And let's get into our submissions.
Hey, Eminem, I need advice about going on a blind date. I have been single for 2 years. My best friend and her husband set me up on a blind date 2 weeks ago. I am very nervous. I haven't been in a serious relationship. I've had a few flings, but nothing serious. I am not looking to find my husband or anything, but I am looking for something genuine and real. I'm 26 female, she, her, and I do not want to waste my time anymore. I want a husband and family in the future, so meaningless flings are no longer an option. My issue is I feel like I am going into this with this mindset when I don't want to. I don't want such high expectations from a blind date when I cannot get them out of my head. What can I do to kind of quiet these expectations and just enjoy the date? I have seen him in pictures, know his occupation and age. Any advice would be great.
Is that still considered a blind date?
No, because you've seen him.
Yeah, I've always
This is
wondered
just
like what
being
the
set up.
criteria of that is.
You're being set up on a date, but it's not blind because you're not going in blind. See, love is blind for for example. I have heard the UK one is wild.
UK reality shows they're different.
Yeah. But they say that they're more mature because like they go in knowing what they want.
I wonder if they're also a little bit older because it is more common in the UK and like it's common in the US culturally, but like not as like a United States kind of thing. But across pretty much all cultures in the UK, it's much more common to live at home for a lot longer and you don't move out until you're in a relationship. Like it's not a lot of like living in the city with your friends as roommates, really. So like I could see them being a little bit more serious about that.
But I think you're contradicting yourself a little bit with this because you're saying that you don't want to waste your time and fuck around, but you do want a husband in the future. But you can't get to the future without focusing on what you want in the present. And then technically this date is in the future. So how far in the future? If you want to only date to get married, like for a husband, and you're not ready for that yet, then I say don't go on dates right now. Because if you have that mindset already, then it contradicts that you're not fucking around.
Yeah. I would say outline your ideal relationship life plan timeline. I did that like probably when I was like 22 because I'd always said like, oh, you know, my idea of like what life was going to be like was very different. I was like, you know, I'll go to college. Like I'll probably meet some guy in college. We'll like date for a couple years. And I've always said things kind of separately. Like I want to date someone for a couple years before we live together. And I want to live together for a couple years before we get married. I want like at least a year-long engagement. And then I want to have like a couple years of enjoying being married before we have kids. And I would say this like as a single person who wasn't fucking dating. And then I was like, wait, Megan, if you want all of this by like, back then I used to say like 27, I was like, you already needed to have met this person. Like, and so like writing all of it down and like seeing like all of the expectations that you kind of have. Cause when you say like, yeah, I don't want this now, but like I want it in the future. It's like, okay, so what is the future for you? And when I like wrote all of that down, I was like, I can immediately scratch so many things off of this expectation list that like, I actually don't really care about anymore. And like, I still was like, I want to be with someone I want to be friends with someone before we start dating. So like there's certain things that I like kept from that I did value. But then other things that I was like, oh, I actually don't need that. And one of the things was like, you know, I want to have a couple serious relationships before I settle down. And like my Mats is probably like, as an adult, I what do we consider a serious relationship? You know what I mean? Like I have boyfriends and guys that I dated, but like my longest relationship is high school and then him. And so I was able to kind of eliminate that part of like experience. And so I would say that like you're saying like I have never been in a serious relationship. To me, if I'm reading between the lines, it sounds like you want to have experience in serious relationships with guys before you were with your husband. Like you want to like, you've had the flings, you've had that stuff, and you want to be able to like, for lack of a better word, like test run the play house with people. So you know going into the relationship that you want to be in and like with your forever person or whatever, that you have that experience there. And I think that is like not an expectation you can set because it's not really something you can control. I know a lot of people who are like me and like, you know, dated casual, like dated in high school and like dated in college and then dated a bit out of college, but like first, like you have a serious one that you're with for like a long period of time. And you can also grow as a person. So there are people who like meet their person at 30 and get married at 31 and they have kids that year. And then there are people who meet at 22 and they are together for 12 years before they get married or before they have kids. And so I think like if you can outline your idea of when you say like, I want this in the future, when do you want that by? Because is it about the timeline of accomplishing a husband and kids? or is it about the person? Is it about finding a person who you want to have that with? Is that, because I think if your timeline is, and you should calculate pregnancy into it, if you're like, I want 3 kids before I'm 35, I think you have to be serious about dating then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like, you can have anything you want. You can't have everything you want, but also you don't necessarily know what you want until you're faced with it. Like, there are things that you might not realize you really value. And you might like go out with this person and have a great time. And like, and maybe you can help me figure it. I'm trying to figure out, when you say, I can't get the expectations out of your head, is it expectations of, I need to find a husband and kids, or that you just want it to be casual?
I think it's a husband and kids.
Yeah. So I think like, if that is on your mind, if it was the other way around and you were like, I can't just get like the, like, I don't want to have anything serious right now vibe, then I would be like, yeah, don't go out with him. But if you're like, I can't get the husband, like, I can't get my expectations of what I want for end goal of dating out of my mind, that's great. Don't get it out of your mind, but be forthcoming with the person you're going out with. And that's what you're looking for, because everybody who is looking for that will be truthful and honest that that is what they're looking for. People aren't going to say that, like, and I've had this conversation with so many of my friends who, like, I love dearly, but it drives me fucking crazy, where it's like, they'll talk to a guy who's like, yeah, I'm not looking for anything serious. And they're like, well, yeah, I'm obviously not looking for anything serious. Like, I want to date for a while and then hopefully like we can like become serious boyfriend, girlfriend. I go, that's not what they mean. They have no intention, point blank, of ever getting to that point. And like redefining those things and like trying to come across as like more chill, I was like, doesn't change what their intention is, nor how you feel about it. Like, you're just trying to reframe the reality of the circumstance situation. It's not going to end up well. And like, I have a friend who's wonderful and is in a serious committed relationship now, but I'm like, I wish I could have had people date him, or at least match, because like there's a time period before he met his current partner who like, he was like, no, I like want a relationship. And he would like not respond back to girls who are like, I'm not looking for anything serious. And even though I was like, they probably would love to have something serious with you, they're just like saying that because they don't want. He's like, well, no, I want something serious. I want someone who's not afraid to say they want something serious.
Yeah.
Men exist like that. And like, if you're not like, it's not a matter of changing how you phrase things. You will start attracting the wrong people. And as long as you're being transparent with your friends, I think they'll probably set you up with good people, but like, you won't know if you don't try.
Mm-hmm. And I think why you told us that you've seen pictures, know his occupation and age, I think, and you said that right after you said, how do I quiet these expectations? I think you're already picturing a future with somebody that you don't know yet. And I also think, like, I understand like going into the date and setting your intentions as far as like, if you want a relationship or saying you don't know what you want. I think it's okay to also state that like, I'm not sure right now.
Yeah.
That's okay, because you aren't. To be quite honest, you don't know what you want right now. So just know, I think it's not like making a future plan, seeing this man walk down the aisle and you haven't even talked to him yet. That's not what you should be going into this date with. It's just like, I'm going to get to know this person, because he might open his mouth and you're like, nope, that was it. Like, maybe a friend, but nope, not interested. Quiet the expectations by knowing that this other person is a human being and he might suck.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't, since your friends are the ones that it's your best friend, are the ones that are setting you up. They might think that he might be great for you. And maybe on paper he is, but like your personalities might not mesh. So just go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. I've always said like, we need to treat dating like, let me figure out if I like this person,
Mm-hmm.
not how can I make this person like me? And I would also say like, you're also allowed after this to be like, this felt like way too much pressure because of the friendship setup aspect. That to me is a lot of added pressure. And I wouldn't feel entirely like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's just a little bit more pressure there because it feels like, oh, this person, even if you don't hit it off, like, well, this person knows me so well and they think it'll work, so it should work. So, you know, I think that's probably an aspect of it there. Yeah, dating is to narrow down what you want and figure out what you like in practicality, just not just on paper. Come up with your timeline, because when I started realizing that I was like, oh, I'll have a kid at 30, I was like, when I was like 26, I was like, that's 3 years from now, I have to get pregnant. I was like, I don't want to do that. So like, just know that like the quote unquote mystic like future of your life is a really long time frame. Like, so there doesn't have to be a rush unless there is, and you decide there is, and it has to be because that's what you want. But you're allowed to want something in the future. And like, I don't know, there's something about like being in your mid to late 20s that like I find a lot of people suddenly start being like, okay, marriage and kids. And it's like, you've got so much time. Like, just because you want that, it doesn't mean like it's a do or die now. You have to choose if you want to have a husband and kids. You don't. Like, you don't have to do it immediately. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And that's so okay. And I don't know where you're from, but like that is also really regional based. So like there are so many people who are your age and older than you who want those same things, but are in no rush to that, and everyone will achieve what they want and what they need. And like, it'll happen. It's just the timelines are set by like societal expectations. And then we have to figure out, do those actually align with what we want, not just what we think we want?
Yep.
On to the next. Okay. Hi there. I need advice on a tricky situation at work. 2 of my coworkers, John, 60, and Linda, 45. By the way that I'm so sad for this already, have been having an affair for a decade. John is married and Linda recently got divorced. Every morning, John leaves his house super early to pick Linda up. They drive to work together and stop at a coffee shop for their morning coffee. They lunch together, and after work, he drops her off at home, heading back to his wife. Even on days when he's supposed to work from home, he drives to Linda's house instead and works from there. This has been going on for years, so all of us at work have noticed and figured out their routine. They think they're being sneaky, but it's obvious to everyone. John's wife seems suspicious, but doesn't have proof, and John has even gotten mad at her for being, quote unquote, so jealous. So here's the dilemma. Should we tell the wife? We all agree she deserves to know, but no one wants to be the bad guy, even though John is the bad guy here. Going through HR isn't an option, obviously, because office relationships aren't against the rules. If we do tell her, how do we go about it? He can't know it came from anyone at work. I was thinking of anonymously slipping the business card of a private detective into the wife's mailbox. We don't have any solid proof, no pictures or text, so this might seem like the best approach. Thanks so much for the advice. I'm 29, female, by the way, and absolutely love the pod.
Because you don't have proof, because everything that you're saying right now is suspicious. They might be having like an emotional affair, but you don't have proof that they're having a physical affair. And I think both of them are bad, especially if it's been going on for 10 years. But this is hard to say, because even if you drop a card in a mailbox, who's to say that he's not the one that's checking the mail?
Yeah. And how do you know that his wife is also suspicious?
Right.
Because to me, girl to girl, if I'm like, something is up with your husband and he is my coworker, and I pick up that you are noticing that, and we're at like a fucking work holiday party, and she just goes, they're really close. I would be like, yeah, I always wondered that. Are you friends? Are you guys like couple friends? Like,
I'm guessing she's close to 62.
No, so I'm saying like if I knew that the wife was suspicious, I have to assume that's because of an interaction someone's had with her. Mm-hmm. And that to me would have been the opportunity for me to be like, yeah, I'm also suspicious, because you're kind of just in the same spot that she is, where like you don't have any solid evidence or proof, but like there's clear indicators, which is the same reason probably why she's feeling this way. So like I would corroborate that, but I'm curious how we know that she is suspicious, right? And that interaction didn't happen. Like you didn't confirm that, because I think that's like kind of the most you can do. Point blank. I do think like, and I don't mean this like snarky at all, but you'd be like, we can't get HR involved. No, like, oh my God, of course obviously you like, no, like that's.
What would you say?
Well, they're going off site too. Right. Like, sure, it's a work lunch, but like you can't.
From what I'm seeing here, it just seems like if we don't have any solid proof, it seems like that they're friends that carpool together. That's like, if you brought this to me, I'd be like, okay, they're friends that carpool together and they like to mirror each other on days when it's work from home. So they need somebody else there. There's nothing here that screams affair.
Except it does, but like not in an HR.
Not in a way that is solid proof for HR and taking it to the wife.
Yeah.
Unless she has already said something to you to your face.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like, I would like to remind everybody that the Ned Try Guy situation, that all blew up because there were photos of them making out at a fucking bar, like a club or a bar in New York by themselves. I mean, if I'm like writing the script for this, if this is like a movie, I'm waiting until a work holiday party and I'm striking up a conversation with his wife that is it in the same vein of how it was, I'm assuming the initial conversation she had where she expressed suspicions about the relationship, and that would be it. But I think like it sounds like you have the same feelings that she does, and while it is helpful to know that like if I were her, it'd be helpful to know that like, oh, other people see that. If she hasn't found solid evidence or proof that he is doing that and she was looking for that to leave, I don't know. I'm like a firm believer that I don't think a woman is suspicious about her relationship and it's just kind of like okay with that. Like I just don't envision that whatsoever. So like I think if like she was suspicious, she would figure out. She would be digging because I think if you figured it out, she would have figured it out. So I either think that you think she should be suspicious, but there's been no confirmation of that, or she's resigned to this. Like, I just don't foresee someone, like, I don't foresee the alternative.
And if she's actually suspicious, I don't think leaving a PI thing in her mailbox is going to help because she would have already thought about that herself.
Yes.
And also, like, what if you are wrong? Is your job not important to you? Like, if you don't have solid proof, don't say anything. Don't say anything because your job could be on the line.
Yeah. I think that there's like, if you ethically are like, I would want someone to say this, I would want someone to tell me, the only thing that you can do is innocuously bring it up in person of being like, I would just say something about, it's like a work from home thing. And then be like, oh yeah, you know, I was thinking like talking to another coworker, we should really do that thing that he and whatever, Linda do, where it's like they like work together from her place and like marry each other. Something like that. That's like kind of the most that you can say, I think.
Or become a PI yourself. You know where they're going. Follow them around.
And get the info. Like if that's what it is. But I think like it's definitely nice for other people to kind of be like, we have our suspicions about this as well. I think if she's staying in this relationship right now and she's like hardcore suspicious about him cheating, I think she needs concrete proof to get out of the marriage and to divorce. And I think unless you're providing that, yeah, it doesn't sound like he's like a master manipulator because you've all figured this out too. So
and it's been 10 years.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like, if you would want someone to tell you, you should tell the other person. But I think you need to recognize that you can only tell the facts and you can tell how you feel about them and you can tell the suspicions that you have. But if you're looking for a slam dunk and you want to be helpful, find the slam dunk. Like if she already has a suspicion, you also being suspicious doesn't really help her in that. But, you know, if you want to protect your job, then you can't have everything.
Right.
But yeah, this is wild to me. And I have to say, what industry do you work in? Because if this was my work drama,
I would have already figured it out and have solid proof.
I know, me too. Also, not to be ageist, but they're not the youngest people ever. So like, what's the social media literacy like? Where are the lapses in how up to date they are in certain things? Like, I feel like you could figure that. Do they know how to clean their search history? Do they know are they hiding their text messages under different names in their phone? Like, I think as a young person, there's probably some gaps in this that his wife might not be able to find.
All right, next one. Meghan and Melisa, I am a longtime listener and so excited to finally call in. Not very excited about the reason I am calling, though. You're writing. I recently moved into my dorm last week. I am female with she, her pronouns and 18. I went random for my roommate as I am at a school most of my friends did not go to. I got a full ride scholarship, so it made it a no-brainer. My roommate moved in a week prior because she is doing the whole sorority thing. So when my parents and I showed up to move in, she wasn't there. I was grateful for that, as I would get to meet her on my own terms and had time for a real goodbye with my parents before I don't see them for a few months. So after I am all settled in, I decided to go explore campus and familiarize myself with the building I'd have classes in. Well, I walk back into my dorm and guess what I find? My roommate having sex.
Ooh.
I was not judgmental, but it was so not how I planned our first meeting. I made an awkward noise and they both looked at me completely unbothered.
Oh my gosh. That's worse. That's actually worse. That's the worst part. What?
Why did you stay? I'm sorry.
It's giving John Walls.
It's getting worse. I introduced myself quite awkwardly and stepped outside to give them privacy to dress. Why did you stay?
Girl. Wow.
Well, they did not take the time to get dressed. They took time to finish, quite loudly, unfortunately. So I am staying outside in the hallway for about 15 minutes before he finally emerges. I walk back into the room. You didn't even give it time to air out. I walk back into the room and she is in the shower. Our dorm is thick with the smell of sex. I was so grossed out. I wanted to leave, but was exhausted from a long day of travel and walking around. So she comes out the bathroom and is laughing about what happened, not apologizing. Since then, I have not seen much of her. Well, you already saw a lot. She is always, she's always doing activities for her possible sorority and coming in when I'm sleeping. I thought we would bond, but I wouldn't even know her last name if it wasn't for the roommate portal. Am I being naive? Is this normal? I was expecting to be at least friends, but we are more like strangers. I am not sure what to do. See, this is why you shouldn't have expectations.
Yeah. This is actually not necessarily why I've ever thought about it, but now this is why I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't have expectations because apparently this is on the table.
This is on the table, which I didn't know. What would be worse if they were having it like on the desk and you saw everything, but they were unbothered. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the future they just do it. Well, like you might be sleeping, you wake up and they're over there having sex. So I would brace myself for that. And forget, you are 18. This is your first time living away from home. I would come up with, since it wasn't a big deal with her, just say, hey, I don't want to, interrupt you in the future. Can you just like text me if you have somebody coming over? Or the old trick of leaving a sock on the door. Just something. Just like let me know that you have somebody over just so that I won't bother you. If she is rushing a sorority, she may not have time to be your friend. Probably not. I would just think of this as a roommate situation. Make friends with other people. If you ever walk into a situation like this again, do not stay and introduce yourself. Just close the door and leave. Go to the lounge area. You can relax there. Go somewhere else. There are other people around. People who are, especially freshman year, are ripe to make new friends. Find somebody else that has a room on your floor that you can be friends with and you can go hang out with in case something like this happens again.
Befriend someone with a single.
Yeah. I'm sorry this happened, but because she was so casual about this, it will probably happen again. Next time, be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if somebody is having sex, don't go in immediately after. Crack a window.
Yeah.
Wait.
The way that like that's nauseating to me.
Yes.
The smell of other people's
juices? No, thank you.
Disgusting.
And the slight stench of condom? Ugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you need to fully cut your expectations of like wanting to be friends. I'm shocked that is still kind of what maybe you still want. The way that I would never, I would be like, no, I don't want to be friends.
I can't look this person in the eyes.
I know, I can't look you in the fucking eyes. So I would think like setting boundaries, being expectations, all that. I was a horrible college roommate. So fucking bad. And my lovely, fantastic, wonderful roommate, Dree, I did not deserve her. So fucking kind to me, gave me so much grace. Like, I love her to this day. She's like the sweetest. And she put up with like a lot of shit that I did. Like a lot of like bad shit, a lot of dangerous shit, a lot of stupid fucking shit. And I feel so bad all the time. So like, don't accept that. Like, she was so kind and like accepting that I did not fucking do. And did not do, would never have done. But, you know, it has to go both ways. Like, you have to respect each other. Mm-hmm. And like, that is not respect. And so like, I say all of this, of like, I was not a good roommate, but like, I love her and I respected her. And like, if I fucked up, I was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, we'll do better. And then I didn't do it again. And then like, you know, she would give me tough love. Like, it was that, but it was built on respect. So you don't not only have a bad roommate, you have a bad roommate who doesn't respect you. And to me, I don't think there's coming back from that. So I think like, you are truly just roommates, and be like Melissa said, like, hey, give me a heads up, put a sock on the door, do something like that. And yeah, it's college, baby. Also, if she's rushing, if like you had sex in your dorm while you were like in the early rushing process, the way you'd get kicked out so fast.
It depends on the school.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying my school, like, I mean, they'd probably like hold it over your head and then everyone would talk about it. But like, yeah, we were like, you weren't even allowed to go to parties. So part of me is like, I hope she can keep under wraps so she could get in that sorority. So like, she will be gone all the time and she's not going to pivot and try and be like besties. But yeah, I just don't envision, if that's the first impression you give, I can only imagine when you really let your true colors show and let your guard down and you relax. I can only imagine how much more you're about to see. So really instill boundaries. And I can't stress enough, a friend who has a single room and also befriend your RA.
Just imagine you're already in the room studying. She walks in with a guy and they start having sex. They know you're there. It's not like a whoopsie. They know you're there. So I think you got to lay down the law now. Be nice about it. Just like, hey girl, so awkward how we first met. Like, laugh about it and say, you know, like, if I don't want to interrupt you guys or anybody that you're with again. So just send me a text. I know that we were just meeting. You didn't know that when I would be back. I'm sure you just saw my stuff here. You didn't know where I was. Just send me a text.
Ping me. Just ping me. And I'll get out of your hair. I'll get right out. But yeah. And yeah, befriend your RA. I can't tell you how many times, it wasn't for this reason, but it'd be that I forgot my key and I didn't want to wake my roommate up for the 10,000th time. I felt so bad. So of course I would just wake my RA up and I would sleep on his floor. So befriend your RA. They probably can't let you do that. My RA was he was like a 7th
story
string.
You've told me from him. I'm like,
I love
there's
him.
a lot of things that you should have been doing.
No, of course not. I love that man so fucking much. And also, he was the last choice of an RA. He found out 4 days before move-in day because everyone else started dropping out. I loved him. And, you know, he dated some of the most beautiful women I had ever seen. And I was like, dang, my RA? You're getting these girls? And, like, he's very cute. But, like, these girls they loved him so much, they were willing to come to the dorm room full of annoying freshmen to be with him. And I was like, hey, it's impressive. It's impressive. Okay. Best of luck on your college endeavors.
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we'll get into the last one.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
We are back, and it's time for the last one. Hi, I'm Melissa and Megan. I'm looking for advice about dating a guy with a kid. I'm 21, she, her pronouns. I'm dating a guy who's 28. He has a 5-year-old son that I have yet to meet. He does not want me to meet him unless we are serious, and I highly respect him for that. He's not having women in and out of his son's life that he doesn't see a future with. We have been together about 6 months, and the conversation has begun for me to meet him at Thanksgiving, as he will have him that holiday, and he is hosting. I'm super nervous about that. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I've never met his son's mother, but she knows about me. She is single, but I've never thought anything was going on between them. They seem to co-parent really well. We spend all of our time together when he isn't with his son. He has a beautiful relationship with him, but am I not too young to be like a stepmom essentially to a 5-year-old? I mean, I was 16 when he was born. Am I mature enough? These are questions that keep popping into my head. He seems like a great kid, and I mean, he's 5. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I told my boyfriend I would get back to him about possibly meeting him. He also mentioned he had to run it by his son's mother, but he wanted to ask me if I was interested first. Help, I need your unbiased advice. I am not sure what to do. I'm in the firm belief that you should meet the other parent before you meet the kid, and that should be a conversation, a choice that they come to together. And I think if you are questioning, if you are ready, it is a hard no. Mm-hmm. And I think that that is your duty and responsibility to express that. And there's a thing when you date someone who has a kid. I've never dated someone who's had a kid, but like heard this, but like that for the time that you're with them, they're not a parent because the kid is not around. And so it seems really easy. It seems like, you know, on paper, like, oh, they've got a kid. Like, oh shit, that's really scary. It's like, oh, I thought that too, but we started dating and like, you know, but then when they're a parent, you're not there for that part. So like you do kind of have this like different idea and kind of ignorance of it that like you might not actually be cool with dating someone who has a kid because you would be a stepmom in that situation and it would be serious. And like, if you're not ready to settle down for whatever that means, like you're not ready point blank. And once you have a kid, like shit is more serious. You're not going to date like you would as a, how old are you? 21. You're not going to date like a 21-year-old. It is going to be a lot serious, most likely a lot quicker. You're probably going to get married a lot quicker. There's going to be like living together, moving in together. There's that. You're not going to be able to take it at the same pace you would as a relationship with someone who's 28 who doesn't have kids. So I think this is an indicator to you that you might really like him, but his circumstance as a whole, the big picture of that is not really where you want to be right now.
Yeah. And I think that if you're dating somebody with a kid, that should be before you even, when you find out they have a kid, you should think in your mind, do I want to be this kid's step parent? And if that's a no right off the bat, if you're having doubts, then you should stop dating that person because you're essentially wasting their time. And you said yourself, you're not mature enough that this person, this child was born when you were 16. You're too young to be a stepmother. I don't think that this is, if you're having these doubts and he's so careful about who he's introducing to his kid, then this isn't the relationship for you. Because when you date somebody that has kids, you're essentially also in a relationship with their children too, even if you haven't met them or not. because those people are going to eventually, if you're going to continue dating this person, they're eventually going to be in your life. So if you can't accept them fully, that shouldn't be somebody that you're with.
Yeah, because even when they're not with their kid, they're always a parent. And you might not see that side of them yet, but like that doesn't go away and you can't keep that separate forever. I will also say that like I respect that he hasn't introduced you to his son already. I do have some questions about him introducing you at Thanksgiving. That to me is a lot. And it's also kind of a really hefty expectation, which I hope you color, I think maybe consciously or subconsciously, you recognize that that is a family holiday and you will not be spending, I don't know what your friends or family, whatever, found family, your circumstance or your situation. So like, let's just say that you live in a different city than your family or those who you call or consider family. If you were in the same location and city, was that who you'd pick over? Because that is choosing one family over the other. And like, is that your family? Is your boyfriend and his son? Is that your family you're going to spend your family holiday with? Or are you going to spend it like, do you view your family as your family primarily? Like there is a very big difference in that. And I think like, you know, introducing at like a drop off or a pickup or like, you know, you're at like somewhere and it's like, oh, this is like daddy's friend. And it's like, mom is there, dad is there, you are there. And it's like a, you know, a little, but it's not a sit down. Here you go. We're having a family again. And as a 5-year-old knows, it's a family holiday. You will be then a girlfriend at a family holiday. That is like a huge commitment in itself that I do question this guy. Cause I don't know. I don't think you've been like expertly fooling him that you are so ready to be a stepmother. Like you sound pretty, like you've been pretty transparent with him about your nerves too. And that he would, that automatically for him isn't like a, oh, well, like sleep on it. To me, I don't like I would be like, if I even sense a hint of doubt from you, like, no, like that's not worth it. Like Melissa said, like if you are even like swiping right on someone and they have a kid, like the first question is not, do I like this guy? It is, am I ready to be a step parent?
Mm-hmm. And also it's August and he's planning for November. So like this dude sees a future with you. Do you see a future with him? I think it should be, you should be meeting the mother in like October and then she can decide if she wants her kid around you. A group decision, not group, a duo decision. You're not part of that decision. And then if so, I don't think that you should be meeting on Thanksgiving. It should be another day.
Yeah. And like a year, like it's not even a year into dating. And like, I don't know. I also have like a lot of trepidation about a 28-year-old man with a kid pursuing a relationship with a 21-year-old.
Yep.
And I'd be curious how old the mom is, because unfortunately it is quite common for single dads who are pretty much exclusively dating young women, that it is a built-in babysitting gig. Like it's just not, it doesn't indicate serious to me. Like it's you're saying one thing and you're doing another. Like you're really serious about like not introducing too early, but you're gonna bring your girlfriend of less than a year to Thanksgiving, and she's 21 and isn't sure that she wants to be a stepmom. Like to me, that doesn't match what he says his morals and ideals are around the circumstance situation. And he's also been 21 before. So it would take a hell of a lot of convincing for me. If I was a single mom at this age, it would take a hell of a lot of convincing from a 21-year-old guy who was like, no, I'm ready to be a dad. Like before, I wouldn't date them still, but like, do you know what I mean? Like you would have to really convince me of that, because I would be like, I've been your age before. Like that is not where my priorities were. And you're not that. Like, it doesn't seem like you've been so gung-ho on it. So yeah, I don't think you would be a bad person for declining. I think it is a very odd circumstance. And I think he should have asked his kid's mom first, not you. But yeah, no hate on you. I want to like stress that. Like, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think you should be honest with your feelings with him like you're with us. And you are too young. You're right. Your instincts are all right.
All right. Well, that's the last one. Thank you so much for listening.
We hope you all enjoyed. You can always leave us a review on the podcast app, or you can also leave a episode-specific review on Spotify. You can join our Patreon. We do live streams twice a month. They are so very fun. And you can also support the show there, any dollar amount. But if you have specific ones, we have tiers. And you can watch the video versions of the podcast that are also ad-free. Very, very fun. See how great and gorgeous and beautiful we look. As always, please submit into the phone number, the email, as well as our DMs for write-ins and call-ins for upcoming episodes. And you can call/write in as well for a Don't Blame Them, where you give your own advice pertaining to a call you've heard on this episode or a previous episode that you want to give your own advice to. I would love if people who have dated parents, and like specifically, if you have dated...
Not your parents.
No, we could hear about that, but that's a different episode.
I don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to either, but that doesn't fit this bill. But specifically those of you who in your early 20s dated single dads. Would love that. Follow us on socials. If you work in the Olympics or Olympic space, slide into our DMs, call us.
Send a carrier
give
pigeon.
us a smoke signal. We'll do anything. Mm-hmm. We love you. And bye.
Goodbye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production sound and editing by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestall.
We're the Ghost Story Guys.
And every 2 weeks, we explore first-person stories of encounters with the paranormal from all around the world.
Then we have some fun reacting to those stories. We like to say our goal is to scare the hell out of you, then make you laugh.
Belief in the paranormal is not required. All you need is a love of great storytelling and curiosity about the world around you.
Subscribe to the Ghost Story Guys now on your favorite podcatcher to hear episodes like High Strangeness in Chicago, The Mystery of Missing Time, and The Haunting of Vietnam, along with dozens of others.
We've talked about mythical bridges, doppelgangers, haunted seaside towns, and so much more.
Remember that story about the guy who was trapped inside a dream and something was hunting him? That was upsetting.
Yes it was.
Want us to help ruin your sleep? Come find the Ghost Story Guys on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else fine podcasts live, or at ghoststoryguys.com.